election results that now show Donald Trump won Arizona, giving him a clean sweep of the swing states in the last week's election. The president-elect now has 312 electoral college votes compared to the 226 won by Vice President Kamala Harris. Remember, candidates needed just 270 electoral college votes to secure the White House. Meanwhile, Democrats are trying to figure out a path forward following what some are calling a billion-dollar disaster. That's the staggering amount of money raised by the Harris campaign in just over 3 months. Some of that money reportedly went to high-profile names like Oprah Winfrey and others for public endorsements. According to the Washington Examiner, the Harris campaign paid Winfrey's company $1 million after a star-studded town hall hosted by Oprah in September. The Examiner also reports the campaign also spent 6 figures on building a set for the vice president's appearance on Call Her Daddy podcast with Alex Cooper. Let's get rid of the Oprah part first.
Hey guys, before we continue on here, I'm that dude named Dave and welcome back to another video. Before we get started here, I need you guys to do a few things for me. Click on like, subscribe, and that bell notification below because we're on the road to 20,000 subscribers. It's a big goal, large goal, but it's my goal. And also one more thing as well, you see that dollar sign that's kind of flashing below there? That's the super feature. Super chats, super thanks, super stickers, as well in the description box for our Cash App, $ that dude named Dave. Hey, I gotta keep the lights on. Anyway, enough about me, the reason why you clicked on this video. We're coming back to Stephen A. Smith, and it appears like what Stephen A. Smith is doing with his YouTube channel, giving us a little bit more freedom to talk about the things he can't talk about on ESPN here. And once again, we're back to the election as we see some of the final results are coming in from last Tuesday as Donald Trump, as we're clearly seeing, wash Kamala Harris, where we're seeing those electoral college votes going up and up when you need only 270. It appears he's going to end up with 312 here. Could be more when it's all said and done with the final vote tally. But Stephen A. is going to talk about more reasons why Kamala Harris lost the election here. Here's one thing. I want to react to him because he does give good points, but sometimes he's being disingenuous because he states all the bad things that the Democrats did wrong, but he openly admits that he voted for Kamala Harris. So when it comes to Stephen A., you never know what you're going to get. It's a mixed bag here. But let's see what he's going to say here about Oprah Winfrey and as well as all the donors that Kamala Harris received here. So let's get back to the video and make it make sense.
Let's not insult my sister. The woman is a billionaire. It is true. She did support Kamala Harris. Absolutely true. I think she went way out there basically saying women weren't going to have the right to vote soon if Donald Trump actually won the election. I think that's a bit excessive, no doubt about that. But here's the reality. In terms of her being paid, she was on camera, caught by TMZ, categorically and emphatically denying she had ever been paid anything by the Harris campaign, which means the Washington Examiner lied. You might have a position.
No, Stephen A. What Oprah did was give a technicality because what happened was that the Kamala Harris campaign paid Oprah Winfrey's company. That's why Oprah Winfrey is saying that she wasn't paid because the way the questions is being asked is like she's being paid directly. No, the funds were routed into 2 separate transactions of $500,000 apiece that went to Oprah Winfrey's company here. So not directly to her, but it's her company, so it went to her. So you're wrong, Stephen A. You're wrong.
On issue with her choice of words during the Harris campaign, but questioning Oprah Winfrey's integrity, that's going a bit too damn far.
Nah,
the Washington Examiner, it appears, didn't know what the hell they were talking about in regards to Oprah Winfrey.
Stephen A., if all the resources and tools you have, you could have double fact-checked this before you recorded this here because we have multiple sources of the postings, and it's also the screenshots of the receipts of the 2 individual receipts that came in for Oprah Winfrey's company here. So, Stephen A., you and your team need to do better homework.
Moving on from that, you know, we got to stop making a big deal of certain things. Like, for example, you raised over $1 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, there were tens of millions of people in the United States of America who wanted Donald Trump to lose. It's a binary system that we're living in. If you didn't support her, you were going to support him. So evidently, you were going to get some money. And oh, by the way, that $1 billion+ what did it translate into? She lost 31 states. He swept the swing states, the blue states. Got 312 electoral college votes. Ladies and gentlemen, excuse my language. That is an ass whipping. That is what that is. There is no way around it, which means that there needs to be an autopsy done on a Democratic Party. Because you see, I'm not necessarily happy that Donald Trump win, but I'm a gracious loser. And more importantly than anything else, I'm about what's in the best interest of the country. And if the country decidedly picked one candidate over another, we have no choice but to pay attention to that. This wasn't some close race to be debated. They were projecting that Donald Trump was going to lose and potentially that the outcome wouldn't be decided for a minimum of 5 days and possibly as long as a week. Ladies and gentlemen, the results came in 5 hours. 7 hours was when they called it without hesitancy.
That is why we cannot rely on pollsters, because how many times that we would hear that Donald Trump was going to get washed? We thought that everybody seemed like it was going to be a landslide. That's why you saw the Harris campaign getting so many celebrity endorsements, throwing on a concert every other day here. But here's the one key thing that they did not understand here, that people did not want to openly say they were voting for Trump, because when people said that they were supporting Trump or even saying they're supporting the couch, Democrats and liberals would curse people out, would demean them, talk down and saying, what is your problem? So people basically said, I'm going to keep this to myself here because I don't feel like getting yelled at. So all these polls and all these analytics basically thinking that all these people were going to vote for Kamala Harris, and it was a complete lie. All that money they raised there and what they showcased in 110 days looked like nothing but one big ass Ponzi scheme. Let's continue.
It was over. It was a romp. By 2 p.m. the next morning. That's a romp. That's a romp. And now we're looking at all of these different things. And we got to take into account certain things. You know, Sean Hannity's about to come up here in a few minutes. He's about to come on the show. Okay? No disrespect. Everybody has the freedom to do what they want to do. Bill O'Reilly was here last week. He was on the show. You see Barack Obama, he got an invite.
It looks like Stephen A's prepping for his life after ESPN. I don't know, he's in a contract dispute right now, and he wants to be the highest paid personality on the network. I believe that Pat McAfee is the highest paid when he came in and brought his program from YouTube over to the ESPN sphere. But Stephen A's looking for $25 million a year, right? But basically, he is the face of ESPN. So you can see all these talking points. He had Bill O'Reilly, he having Sean Hannity. He's prepping for life after ESPN to be a political figure and talk about all kinds of pundit information. Let's go.
Kamala Harris, she got an invite. Hakeem Jeffries, he got an invite. Thanks again to Maryland Governor Wes Moore for coming on the show. Thanks to Byron Donald for coming on the show a few months ago. Thanks for Chris Cuomo, a pundit, for coming on the show and doing his show on Cuomo on News Nation, Cuomo Show. But there's a whole bunch of candidates. And you were waiting for them to answer questions. Think about what they're saying about Kamala Harris to this very day, at this particular moment in time. They're saying there was a lot of questions that she wasn't answering. That her answers weren't in depth enough about the economy. No responsibility embraced because of what happened at the borders with immigration.
Wasn't Kamala Harris named the border czar back in 2021? Like, this was not something that she got nominated the year of the election here. She was, quote unquote, the border czar for almost 3 years and didn't even go to the border until like a few months before the election even happened here, and even made the sound by like, I ain't been to France. So, you know, it just tells you the competency what we had in our current administration.
A flip-flopping position on the issue of fracking. You know, they kept playing her commercial when she said weeks ago, capitulating to the extreme left, that she would be for transgenders getting sex change operations, even if they were in prison. And I sincerely doubt she meant that, but it didn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter if you think that she meant it or not. It was something that she said on a show, in an interview, using taxpayer dollars money, that if you are, of course, in jail, to go through gender reassignment surgery. Whether you want to think that she didn't mean it or she was caping or capping to her audience, she shouldn't have said it if she didn't mean it then. But that just tells you what's going on in the minds of these far left, that they want to use our tax dollars so that men can go ahead and cut their stuffs off. I'm not cool with that.
In the end, here's the bottom line, what I've learned just by listening to everybody over the last few days. Yes, they're going to talk about the economy. It's the economy, stupid. It's the economy, stupid. It's the economy, stupid. Sure, they're going to talk about our borders. Over 11.6 million people crossing the border illegally. Sure, they're going to question all of those things, crimes in the streets and stuff like that. All of a sudden, we see New York Mayor Eric Adams talking about they're going to do away, rather, with those prepaid credit cards they were willing to give to folks who cross the border. We're hearing all of this right now. This is what my opinion is. Don't tell me that the extreme left, with the cancer culture, with people getting in trouble for saying the wrong pronoun, with men transitioning to women, playing in women's sports, had nothing to do with it. In the end, you had tens of millions of Americans saying enough of this shit. Donald Trump might be crazy in their eyes, but at least his crazy returns us to a level of normalcy we're accustomed to.
Exactly. I just want to chime in here because I don't know about my tribe. The AIC's watching me. If you're new checking out my channel, I am hoping that during this administration, we can get rid of this woke culture, okay? All these things that's going so far to the left that it's to the point where it's like, you're not even focusing on Americans. You're focused on everybody else and everybody's feelings and all this coddling and all this cosplaying, but the people who was in this country first and who helped make this country the way it is here. So I am hoping during these 4 years that this woke culture and this far left, we can eradicate it and get back to like the way it used to be, at least when I was growing up. When people say make America great again, it looked at the fact that we were going too far to the one side. Let's continue.
Rather than the stuff we're dealing with right now. That's what some of them are saying. That's what a lot of them are saying. And now as everybody complains about Kamala Harris and her campaign of advisors who clearly gave awful advice, particularly one individual that went on national TV yesterday saying Biden's last act as president in office should be stepping away to give Kamala Harris the presidency so she would become the first female president in the United States history. And oh, by the way, she wouldn't have to certify Donald Trump in as the president of the United States beforehand. All of this stuff, really? Really? That's what we're doing now? That she can't do that? She's the vice president of the United States and she can't sit there and certify him, the person who beat.
If they really do that, I hope that, I don't believe the fact that Joe Biden would actually allow that, because Donald Trump cracked that joke during the election that your boss don't even like you. So I don't think that Joe Biden would step down, but if he did that and allow Kamala Harris to be the 47th president, then that would just open the floodgates to say she is a DEI hire. And that is the one thing that you Democrats, liberals do not want to have on your hands, because if you do that, you will never win another election because you will be the party of DEI, and that is something that is not a good look in this situation right now. Let's continue.
Her fair and square for the election. We got to stop that nonsense. A loss is a loss, and you got to stomach it, and you got to accept it. You have to do that. It's the right thing to do, especially when you get romped. That is the situation that happened. And in the end, the Democratic Party better revert back to normalcy. They better become more center-left as opposed to more extreme left. And everybody needs to stop complaining about stuff not going their way. You lost. Plain and simple. You greased the skids for Biden to not have a primary. He shows up on June 27th and embarrasses himself during a debate. That elevates Kamala Harris to the presumptive nominee without having to debate or go through a primary herself. And then after that, she went through the election, although smoking Trump in a debate, she got romped on election night. It's that simple. It's that simple. I hate to admit it, but it happened. And adults in the room accept that. I know that men everywhere had better, especially men, because a lot of them showed up to the polls. And folks thought they were going to show up to the polls and vote differently or not show up at all, and that clearly was not the case. And as this pertains to the ladies, Y'all thought the overturning of Roe v. Wade was going to do it. But there's about 53% of women who voted for Donald Trump.
And on that note, we're going to stop the video. You guys can go to Stephen A's channel, on YouTube here. He's getting close to 1 million subscribers, so he's doing his thing on YouTube here. But let's open up the conversation. I want to state what I stated earlier here. Stephen A is pointing out some poignant information. How the Democrats, let's just keep it a buck here, they got their whooped here, okay? The fact that we're seeing that Donald Trump now going to be at 312 electoral college votes right now, it is not looking pretty here. Just the fact that they raised over $1 billion, and now the campaign is $20 million in the hole. We even heard President-elect Trump come out and say that he would even give the money to the campaign to help them with their debt. And it's kind of crazy now when you see the Democrats, even though the election's over, they're reaching out to their donors saying, please donate, please go ahead and donate, even though the situation is ended here. So is this who we wanted to be our president? She had 110 days in this election cycle, and in 110 days to raise that kind of money and to be in that kind of hole, which means that they were just spending money. They were just regurgitating money. And this is the one we want to trust with our tax dollar money. This is the one that we wanted to trust when they just completely open up the floodgates, that it's increased the public debt, whether on our state debt or national debt, by housing these migrants and giving them free debit cards and then giving them free housing, et cetera, et cetera. This the administration that we wanted to be fiscal responsible? The whole idea of the Biden-Harris campaign was that from 2020, that the Donald Trump administration was a clown show. That's what we were being told. That's what it looked like here. And we were coming back to normalcy here. We were coming back to competent administration. And what do we have here? No competency here. And we're just looking at spending here. But Democrats are supposed to be the best ones who handle the situation. They showed us they don't know what the heck they are doing here. So now as we're going to get to the end of the year and to the top of the year, President-elect Trump is bringing on his camp here. He's bringing on new people to run the different groups. So we're going to see what's going to happen here. But one thing is for sure, the Democrats, if you want to have any kind of chance of winning any elections, you need to come back to the center. You're going to need to figure out what you need to do to get the people back, because how far left you went, there are some people who sit on the couch, and there's some people who went to the right and saying, I'm never going back left here. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a YouTuber. Let's open up the real debate here. Comment, like, subscribe, and click on that bell notification below. I want to hear what you guys say in the comment section here, and I want to know what you think about Stephen A's commentary. Once again, he's making some points here, but he is also someone who voted for Kamala Harris. But on that note, guys, I'm that dude named Dave. See y'all later, YouTube world.